the most dangerous story in hip hop right now is definitely the Diddy story. And that story just hit Netflix. And it's landing just like a lot of people thought, like a bomb. 50 Cent's four-part documentary called Sean Combs' The Reckoning pulls back the curtain on one of music's biggest moguls at the exact moment that his empire is collapsing under accusations of abuse, exploitation, and criminal misconduct. Now, the series, which by the way is put together by lots of people, Diddy is the subject, 50 Cent is the EP, but there's lots of hands in this. The series traces how Sean Combs, or Diddy, or Puff Daddy, whatever you want to call him, went from the architect of the bad boy era to the center of a sprawling legal and moral crisis. Now, 50 spent more than a year with director Alexandra Stapleton gathering interviews, evidence, and never seen before video that Netflix says, to be clear, that it obtained legally. They say nobody was paid, and they also said that 50 Cent didn't control the narrative. The platform insists that this is not a hit job. This is not a hit job. This is a record. One of the most jarring sections, and this is the part that a lot of people don't expect on this because they think it's all about the most recent accusations against Diddy. To me, the most jarring part is the section on the murder of Tupac and Biggie, Notorious B.I.G. As you know, these crimes reshaped the culture. They split hip hop into a civil war. I was coming of age at that time. Biggie, of course, was Diddy's star. He was the foundation of Bad Boy itself. And the director, Stapleton, says the documentary brings forward new intel that just hadn't been synthesized in one place before. I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, I heard this story before. I've heard the rumors before. I heard the innuendo before. You ain't heard it this way. It's a different story. You can agree with it or disagree with it, but it's definitely a different story. The documentary also shows former Danity Kane star Aubrey O'Day confronting an affidavit suggesting that she may have been assaulted at the Bad Boy studio. She says she has no memory of it, and hearing the details leaves her questioning what happened to her body and why she can't recall it. It's very scary. She reads a document aloud on camera describing the woman who allegedly witnessed the assault and said O'Day appeared out of it and unclothed. O'Day also shares sexually explicit emails that she says came from Diddy when he was, in fact, her boss. She says she believes her firing was a retaliation for refusing sexual participation. Now, Diddy's representatives have responded to this, as you would expect. They reject the claims outright. They call the documentary biased, and they say that many of the participants in the documentary have motives or they have credibility issues. Now, of course, Netflix feels differently. They deny the claims, and they say the footage is licensed and no promises were made to anybody. Now, what's fascinating about this for me is that the series includes never seen before footage of Diddy discussing his legal troubles at a New York hotel just a few days before his 2024 arrest. That means he had cameras following him around in real time to the final days as a free man that he had. Of course, he was later charged charged with racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation for prostitution. We all know, or most of us know, he was acquitted of the major charges last summer, but he was convicted on two lesser counts and sentenced to 50 months. His team says the footage that we're seeing in this documentary was part of an unfinished project and was never authorized. They've already sent Netflix a cease and desist. But Netflix ain't budging. Lesser people may, but Netflix ain't budging. They're standing firm and saying that they have every legal right to air the footage. And they say that the footage was obtained properly. I think I have a theory on how the footage got obtained, but we'll talk about that another time. Two jurors from Diddy's sex trafficking trial speak out in the doc as well. Juror 75 says he was confused by Diddy's relationship with Cassie, who sued him for rape and abuse before settling. The juror says you can't have it both ways, adding he believes that the verdict delivered justice. Complicated. I think they're being too hard on Cassie, but we could talk about that another time as well because we're going to do a whole special on this. But anyway, the documentary pushes viewers to confront how some of the biggest culture shifting events in hip hop transpired and what was behind those events, but also who was behind those events. Diddy is a staple in his culture. I don't think you have hip hop culture without Diddy, at least not the way that it looked in the 90s and aughts. Obviously, hip hop came before Diddy. Hip hop will live after Diddy. But I'm saying the particular way that hip hop showed up was a testament to Bad Boy. In the same way, you don't have hip hop without Run DMC. You don't have hip hop without Russell Simmons. You don't have hip hop without Jay-Z, you know, hip hop without Foxy Brown or MC Lyte or Queen Latifah. We can't erase Diddy from that story. We can't erase Suge Knight from that story. But it's troublesome to me that so many of these figures, whether it's Afrika Bambaataa, whether it's Russell Simmons, whether it's Diddy, whether it's Suge Knight, that they've been also so deeply ensconced in the criminal legal system. What's going on? What is it about the culture of hip hop? What is it about the culture of the legal system? What is it about the culture of the state that leads to these kinds of outcomes? What is it about the culture of masculinity? What is it about the culture of masculine decadence or U.S. decadence and masculine? You know, there's so much stuff here that needs to be unpacked. This documentary does a really good job of unpacking a lot of the Diddy stuff, but I can't wait for the next conversation to be how we situate that in a broader context.